Hello guys, welcome back to another DirectX tutorial, DirectX11. Um, in the last tutorial we initialized section of DirectX or DirectX manager. We had to initialize some of the adapters and all the numerators and all that kind of stuff we had to do. So let's continue where we left off. One thing I gotta mention, I did mention this in the last video where we can get some redefinition of stuff, because if you have Visual Studio 2012, you can get that. Or I'm not sure about Visual 2013 because I don't have it. So, but if you do, or if you're using 2012, then you can get this macro redefinition, and that's because again, Visual Studio 2012 already has the DirectX stuff already initialized. But since I decided to ignore that and make it easier for you guys, for those who are not using Visual Studio 2012, then there's a way that you can ignore those warnings just for now if you don't like seeing it in there. And for that, you just go to your project or solution properties, and in C++, go to all options, and it's gonna be disable specific warnings, and you can pass in the 4005. That's the warning that you can be ignoring. 4005, apply, and then if you rebuild it again, you're not going to have those warnings anymore. Let's just unlocalize, num nodes, unsign it. Okay, so you're not going to have those warnings anymore if you don't like it. So you could either disable that specific warning or just leave it, depending if you like having those warnings in there or not. But anyway, let's continue. You know what? Just build that. Megabytes. Okay. So we're gonna continue where we left off in the last tutorial, and basically in this video we can initialize the swap chain. So might as well call it function initialize swap chain. We can pass. I hate when I do that. The screen width. Not the screen. What am I doing? It's too early. It's doing the full screen, the screen width, the screen height, the numerator that we just got, and the denominator. And if that fails, of course, return false. So we can go to initialize swap chain function. Just go to that function and we can initialize it there. So what we can need in this function, you can have a dxgi swap chain description, a D3D feature level, and H result. Since we can need it to test against our stuff. So basically we're gonna initialize the swap chain to 0. So you're gonna be 0 memory, and you can swap chain description and the size of swap chain description. Set the buffer. We're gonna set the buffer count to be 1. That's swap chain description. Buffer count equals 1. We can initialize the buffer height and width. Swap chain description, buffer description dot width equals screen width, swap chain description buffer description height equals screen height. You can set the format be a 32-bit. You can swap chain description. You know, I might just copy this because I hate writing it every single time. But for the script, the format, and that's gonna be a DXGI format underscore R8 and all that we did earlier. And set the refresh rate of the back buffer. And say MB sync enabled. Make sure it's an if statement. Of course, I misspelled that. Swap chain description, buffer, refresh rate, numerator equals numerator. Denominator equals denominator. Else we can set all this again. We can set it to 0 and 1. Then once after that, you want to set the usage of the back buffer. And swap chain the buffer usage equals a DXGI usage render target output. You want to set the handle for the window. Okay, I need to look that up. Okay. Swap chain description output window equals under HWND. You want to turn multi-sampling off. You can turn it on another time if you want. Swap chain sample descript count equals 1. Sample dot quality equals 0. This is where you set the full screen. Set to full screen or windowed mode. Window, that's spelled correctly. It doesn't look right to me. If full screen and swap chain dot windowed equals false. I can't find a better way of doing this. Windowed equals full screen. We want to set the scan line ordering and scaling to unspecified. And swap chain the buffer description that's scaling ordering equals DXGI mode scan line order unspecified. And the same thing for the scaling. It's DXGI mode scaling unspecified. You want to initialize the swap effect, the swap effect with discard. So discard the back buffer contents after presenting. and we say dot swap effect equals dxgi swap effect discard. You want to set the flags to equal 0. Feature level. We initialized, so here it was D3D underscore feature level. We can assume that you're using 11.0, basically DirectX 11. I'm guessing that's what that means. Yes. So let's create a comment in there just so we know what the hell we're talking about. Set the feature level to DirectX 11. Since that's what we're doing, right? So I'm assuming that we're using 11. If not, then I don't know why you're doing it here. Okay. And now that we have all of that swap chain description already, we want to create the swap chain. So result equals D3D11 create device and swap chain. First parameter should be null. D3D driver type hardware null 0 feature level 1. It's a long function, so D3D11 SDK version swap chain description swap chain. I said it. Swap chain and device null and the device context. So there we go. And then we want to make sure if failed results return false. So basically create swap chain device and device context. So now we have that. Here we go. We initialized it. We're set for this initialize swap chain. Make sure it runs. That's fine. So that means we haven't initialized that yet. So it's complaining about it. We will eventually. So now that we have initialized our swap chain, you want to go back to the initialize function under where we created that initialize swap chain. I guess I'm gonna continue because it's only been like 13 minutes. So now we can initialize the back buffer, which is what is complaining. So you want to get the pointer to the back buffer. Say result equals swap chain. And I want to get you actually get the device from here too. That's crazy. Oh, but you have the pen. Okay. Alright, I just want to see what you had. Okay. You want to get the buffer. Pass in 0. You do that weird underscore underscore UIDOF to get the GUID G3D11 texture 2D. And you can cast this to LP void pointer of back buffer and make sure it did not fail, because if it did, then return false, and of course so false. Okay. Basically, now that if it didn't fail, we want to create the render target view. Result equals mDevice create render target view. I'm gonna pass in the back buffer pointer null and the m render target view. And like always, it failed. Result return false. Now that we have initialized a render target view, we want to release a buffer because we don't need it anymore. Release back pointer, back buffer pointer, back buffer pointer, release, and back buffer pointer equals 0. And now we want to initialize our depth buffer. We're going to pass in a screen width and screen height. And if that failed, return false. It's not really a long function, so you don't have to worry about it. So initialize the depth buffer. D3, D11. Texture to the description. Depth buffer descript. This blah 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 blah. Let me spell correctly. And H result. We want to initialize the depth buffer description. Zero memory. And depth buffer descript. I don't know why I say the script, but that's what I'm gonna call it from now on. My rules in here. And we want to passing all the information into a depth buffer. Depth buffer. So I want to set depth buffer dot width. If I width equals screen width. Same thing for height. Mid levels equals 1. Array size equals 1. The format same. It's not the same one. It's DXGI format underscore D24 unorm. I say unit. Uint. Let me scroll up a little bit more. Okay. We're gonna sample script count. I'm gonna set that to 1. Sample script quality. I'm gonna set that to 0. Usage equals the D3D11. Usage default. Why did I keep going to the next line? Bind flags equals D3D11. Bind def stencil. I see. CPU access flag set that to 0. And the last one is miss flags. Set that to 0 as well. Now that we haven't done that, we want to initialize the texture for the depth buffer. result equals m-device create texture 2D, pass in the depth buffer description null, and pass in the def stencil buffer. And like always, you failed. Result return false. Otherwise, return true. So we set that. Now that we have done that, we're gonna go back up to our. I'm gonna put that down because I don't need it anymore. Where we created our initialize def buffer under it. We say if we want to initialize the def stencil buffer. Initialize def stencil buffer. Return false if it failed. So go back down there. Don't need this anymore. And initialize def stencil buffer D3D11 def stencil buffer. Description def stencil. And like always, you want the H result. You know, it's not leaving us anytime soon. Yeah. Why is it bind? What did I do here? D3D11 def stencil description. Okay. Like always, initialize def stencil descript. Zero memory. Size of. Yeah, no. And now we want to set up description. We said def enable. Equals true. Def right mask. I'm going to set that to D3D11. Def right mask. Underscore all. I'm going to set the def func to equal D3D11. Comparison less. Def stencil enable equals true. Stencil read mask equals 0 FF. And stencil right mask is the same thing. Now we're saying front facing pixels. Stencil operation if pixel is front facing. So that front face, that stencil felop equals D3D11 stencil upkeep. That front face stencil. Oh, I missed. Okay, wrong one. Okay, hold on. I'll fix that top one. Def stencil op increment. This one is a different one. Stencil fell. There we go. Make sure you fix that. You know, I don't want to a message saying that something's failing in here. The stencil pass op. You want to set that to D3D11. Stencil op keep. And the last one is from face dot stencil function to equal D311 comparison always. What happened to always? So there it is. And we're gonna do the same thing for the if it's back facing. If pixel is back facing. So you want to do just copy all of this. You're gonna set that to back face. And the only difference is that this one is DCR. So the only one you're updating is this one. So make sure you do that. Did I misspell it? Yes, I did. Dang it. Okay. That's the only difference that it's in here. Now that we have that, we can create a def stencil now. Create def. Result equals m device. Create def stencil state. Ampersand def stencil description. And def stencil buffer state. What happened to that? Did I ever initialize the stencil state? Oh, there it is. I don't know what the hell happened. Okay. Now, like always, if failed, result return false. And then we want to set the def stencil state. And device context is om set def stencil state m def stencil state equals 1. Then we want to return true. And that's it for that. Make sure there's no errors. Alrighty. Well, I guess, guys, I'll end it here. Don't want to make this video way too long. So, you don't want to pause it. So, what we did here, we just... Did we initialize swap chain in here? I don't remember. Yeah, we did have initialize swap chain. We got the back buffer pointer to create the render target view. Release it afterwards, and we create def buffer and the def stencil buffer. In the next video, I'm pretty sure we're going to be initializing our stencil view in a rasterizer state. So hopefully it doesn't take too long. But anyways, I'll end it here. I hope you guys liked this video. If there's anything you guys confused about what we just did right now, then let me know. I'll try my best to explain it. But all of this stuff is just DirectX stuff that we have to initialize, which is kind of lame, but we have to do it. But yeah, so I hope you guys like this video. Thumbs up if you can, and stay tuned for the next video. So signing out, guys. I'll see you then.